Okay, everyone. I know we're getting towards the end, so I just wanted to, give you guys a little bit on some tips on how to use your SaaS budgets, but also how to plan for growth. So first of all, just quickly about MiiR. I'm not sure if you already know about MiiR, but we're a premium lifestyle brand recognized by design, generosity, and responsibility. You probably see us in Stumptown, Blue Bottle Coffee, Patagonia. We're pretty much in the coffee world as well as beer, wine, and spirits. And we really look at this design, generosity, and responsibility in everything we do, not just in the products we make, but also in how we run the business and how we work with each other. Our mission is to exist to empower people for a better future. I mean, our products, we actually donate about 2 to 3% of our top line revenue, not profit, but revenue, to nonprofits. And as of right now, we've given over $4 million to nonprofits. And we also do a lot of donations too to kind of help those organizations with free product that they can then sell and then fund their adventures. Our vision is to create more beauty and generosity in this world. And actually, here's an example of something we did. Previous Black Fridays, we gave 100% of sales to Kula or another foundation. And this is actually a coffee water processing plant that they built with the money from one of the Black Fridays from 2019. So again, like we normally don't do specific projects. We just we give them unrestricted funding so they can do what they need to do with the money. Especially after COVID, you don't want to pigeonhole the money. Beyond that, there we go. Also, just one last thing about us, what separates us from our competition is we are B Corp certified, we're climate neutral certified, 1% for the planet, and we're also an evergreen, certified evergreen company. That digital transformation, a lot of different definitions for it. Kind of look for it is the process of leveraging digital technologies to innovate, optimize, and enhance business processes, customer experiences, and operational efficiency. It's a lot of words, but I look at it as more of like, how do we future-proof things? How do we make it more efficient? And how do we save people time and money and make some money in the process? So I kind of broke it down into 3 stages. There's a scrappy stage, the resourceful stage, and the strategic. Scrappy, if you've been in a startup, it's a house of cards. Your technology is about to crash at any moment. You're doing fire drills all the time. You're hacking with low-cost tools. You may be having a lot of your tech stack with free Shopify tools. You may be spending like $100 a month for a subscription for this that you share across multiple people. Again, it's a stack of cards ready to fall, and you're constantly putting out fires. Resourceful is when you kind of get to that part where you're building the blocks, you're laying the bricks of a foundation. You can start investing in some of those mid-tier solutions. You're starting to see some of the resources, are getting a little bit better. You're not just hiring fresh college grads or interns. You're able to actually bring in some middle experienced people, and you have a little bit more budget savvy. You can be a little more. You can take more risks and be more innovative. Strategic, though, is when you're looking at your larger legacy systems, like your ERP, your CRM. What are the long-term tools that you need that's going to be here 10 years down the road? You're also looking at a higher investment. You're not just investing in software tools. You're also hiring more expensive people with MBAs, people that are if you try to get a SAP professional, that's a lot of money to get someone in there. So if you're building out those type of tools, you also have to plan and budget for that. The thing is, though, whether it's be scrappy, resourceful, or strategic, in many ways, I'm sure most of you will see this, but it's actually all 3 at the same time. It's not a straight line. It's really jagged. You're going back and forth. At one point you're being scrappy, but the next part you're working with leadership to be strategic. It's more like a Venn diagram where everything kind of touches upon each other. An example of this probably would be, looking at the softwares in your software stack within these 3. Like on the scrappy side, you got your Shopify apps. They're costing $50 to $100. On the resourceful, it's when you're taking the time to look at, okay, I no longer want to be in Google Drive, spending an hour trying to find the perfect photo. Instead, you invest the time, the money into bringing on Binder. It's a mid-tier expense, but you're able to bring it in and save your creative team hundreds of hours. I mean, it pays for itself. But then you got strategic, where you're looking at your CRM, you're looking at your ERP. Maybe you're going to bring in Bloomreach to replace some of your other tools like Attentive, Klaviyo, maybe HubSpot Marketing, to then bring in more AI. But again, it's an investment you have to look at and do. So I'm going to provide you some additional tools and tips on how to handle a digital transformation. First off, have clear goals. KPIs are your North Star. Plan ahead before you even bring a new tool into your company and bring it to leadership and finance team. What are your goals? What do you want to bring to the table with this? The other big one is, it may not be ROI in terms of money, but time savings. That binder example that I gave, it was one of the first things I did when I got to MiiR, and now people don't really think about it. They don't understand how much time, but I calculated the amount of time, and it was an extensive amount of resources. I spent an hour and a half one time looking for a photo of the co-founders together. Hour and a half for the website. It was a nightmare. Another thing also to look at is the finance team. Make them your best friend. They are super important. They hold the purse strings. You get them on board. They can give you additional information, resources to help understand what the cost of the tool is, and also to help you sell it in. Not just to the leadership, but to the board of directors. They listen to money. Numbers count. And to be a good partner to your finance team, have these 7 questions ready. So is the expenditure you're looking at, it could be CAPEX, could actually open up more budget for you for the year because you're rebuilding a website, a data warehouse, and for that you can actually amortize it over 3 years. Maintenance costs. What's the cost of actually keeping this tool up? Are you going to need additional headcount? Is that headcount going to be under you? Is it going to be a different department? Do you build this tool and then pass it to another department? Tool administration. If you're not getting additional headcount because you didn't budget for it or just not there, who is going to administer that tool, and what are they going to have to give up to do that? Is this replacing existing tools, and is there an overlap of costs? For instance, Bloomreach. If I bring on Bloomreach, I need to make sure I have about 6 months of runway to bring on that type of software, that type of tool, so I still have Klaviyo and Attentive and these other things running. And you have to look at the timing, like when do those contracts expire? What's the timing for that? So I recommend give yourself 6 months of runway in case something happens. And then, as mentioned before, budget ownership. Integrations. I know earlier we were talking about integrations. Integrations can kill your tool that you want to bring on. If it doesn't work with your ERP or your CRM, you're dead in the water. It doesn't matter. And if you have to spend a whole bunch of money on APIs to build it, who's going to maintain it? And then do you have the budget to do that? Future-proofing it. Make sure that it's the duration investment you're doing. I typically look as if you're spending more than $10,000, try to make sure the tool lasts for 3 years, so you're kind of getting that investment in there. You're spending the time. You're spending people's time. Also, anything that's stability, you should look at the vendor you're talking to. Will they be around in 3 years? Are they going to be supporting you? Is it something that's going to be vaporware in a year because they get bought out or just doesn't work? Look at their LinkedIn and look at how, if you have LinkedIn Premium, look at are they growing? Are they declining in terms of headcount? Organizational changes in your own company. How is that going to affect your tech stack and who's managing it? Is it, with a reorg, do they move everything over to a sales team or to an IT team? It makes a big difference on how you can plan for the future. Communicate early and plant the seeds with your executive leadership. Understand where your bottlenecks are. Where's the gaps that you need that your tool could fill? When you start checking with vendors and do that, plant those seeds now with the executive leadership. So when you come with a solution later on and start talking to them about it, they already are thinking, "Oh, we have a problem. We need to fix this." Like, you'll look like a superstar coming with the tool. Also, one last thing on that is, you may actually already have the tool. You just may need to upgrade your subscription to the next level and open up a whole new list of tools, and you don't have to go get approvals from executive leadership if it's a lower cost. So, I mean, take advantage of it and do a subscription audit every 6 months to make sure you're also not getting stuck in renewals. Auto renewals can be like punishing. One time I had one for 6 months. You had to cancel 6 months before the tool renewed, or else you're stuck with it. Never again. ROI, work with your finance team and the vendor to kind of have those collaborative calculations. Like, what's the actual true cost? Tell a story. Use your vendors and get them to make you some graphs. I mean, if you don't have the resources internally, get them to do it for you. They're trying to sell you something. And then also highlight your current tool's ROI. If you actually have a great tool that but people forgot about it, bring it up. Make sure it's top of mind with your executives so they understand that you're bringing value. Big thing is actually really understanding what the true cost is, the long-term true cost. Even if you plan it for 3 years, there's onboarding costs. There's APIs you may have to build, maintenance of those APIs. You may have to bring in an agency to do those APIs or to onboard and train. Additional headcount. You may have to have year-on-year license increases. I mean, who hasn't had a tool that they had year 2, year 3 goes up by 12%. I mean, even here have Avalara. Avalara knows what they know what they're doing. They can charge you. Team members' time is also another big thing. If you're asking for people you're asking resources from other teams, that's time you need to count for. As I mentioned before, vet your vendors, evaluate them, understand the stability, but also mindfully engage the cross-functional teams. You're bringing in people from sales and IT and leadership into a demo. Probably not the right use of the time. Bring in only the people that you think are necessary to vet the product, and you can do additional demos later on for different stages. Strong project management. I love my project manager. She is phenomenal. She's incredible. Without her, you would have so many issues of launching anything on time and people's resources and getting things done. She also acts as a communication hub. So she's always making sure that everyone within the company, as well as the vendors, are doing what they're supposed to be doing in the time frame they are. And if you've had a vendor where you're sold this wonderful thing, and then when you actually start onboarding it, they have no project management on their side. Having a strong project manager on your side can compensate for that. It's not ideal, but it'll cover your butt. And then training and support, it's not always about like what you're training on, but when. If you're asking sales team, say you're doing something with the CRM, a new upgrade, new tool, and you're asking your sales team to do it in Q4 during their busiest season, that's not fair. That's not, you should be more empathetic to them and understanding what they need. And then also understand, do they need to be in all those trainings for everything, or kind of this part of training goes to another team. They're not doing everything in the tool. Also budget for future support when there's new upgrades. If you're able to budget for that with your finance team early, you're not going to be surprised, and you also have maybe a little wiggle room later on that you can play with. Document your success stories. Shine. If you have people in your team that are kicking ass, shine. Put a spotlight on them. Whether they may not know it, if you're in executive leadership meetings, talk about them. But it also gives you a chance to talk about the tool and what those early wins are. If you're launching a tool right now, the first couple months, you can still get some ROI that you can celebrate and talk about and show that a quick and easy one would be SMS. If you bring on attentive SMS, the ROI, the dashboards they have, it makes you look like a rock star. In terms of time, I think I maybe have a couple more minutes. Okay, great. I wasn't sure if I was going to cut this part out, but I don't know if you guys have who's here had a King's Ransom? A King's Ransom is what we called it at Nestle, but King's Ransom is when your president will take 10% of your budget, of your annual budget, hold it until November or December, and then miraculously you get another 10% to spend at the end of the year where you have no resources, everyone's rushing, everyone's on vacation. It sucks. So what you can do though, if all of a sudden November, December, you get that 10% back, use external creative resources. Use Fiverr. Work with your creative team ahead of time to get some briefs ready so you can use copywriting. Use your welcome flows in your emails. Rewrite them. Do some new imagery. Do some photography with new products. But at the same time, don't overdo it. Test new digital ad channels. you can test, but I wouldn't overdo it. Use the same type of assets you have now and just refurbish them so you're not asking for additional needs and from the creative team. Because again, it's the holidays. So what shouldn't you do in November, December? Market research. Market research that's rushed sucks, and it's going to give you bad insights, and then you don't want something down the road being reliant on that market research. It's market research. Spend the time doing it. New integrations or tools. I mean, how many times have you had it's like, oh, we can get something in, and it'll still come January, we'll be up and running. Well, you're also asking people during the busy season to jump in and spend their time also helping you out with this. So again, be empathetic. Don't try to add in something, especially if you're in e-commerce. Don't be adding in a new dropship partner, because the big no-no for a dropship partner would be, you're ruining the whole distribution network. If you have a new dropship partner, how is the printing labels going to be done? What are the box sizes? Your whole warehouse is scrambling the last couple months. You don't want to be adding that to them. And then one other thing also is, you don't want to increase your media buy that you currently have. Like, hey, I have a new $1 million that just got released. Well, throwing that into your current media budget and plan, you may be having like 300% ROI. That's going to decrease drastically. So all the time you've been obsessing for the last 10 months on your ROI and your performance, it'll crash if you just throw it all into another bucket. Like, oh, just more meta ads. It's the last thing you want to do. Beyond that, though, thank you again for the time. And if you're interested in MiiR gear, 40%, Lambert 40, just go to MiiR.com and you'll save 40% up until the end of this month. Thank you.